rolling. You know this, right?
Sure. You have two.
I got two because I like to double fist things. Hello and welcome to the Beat LA podcast. My name is Matt Ferrucci. I'm a writer-director in Los Angeles, and I am joined once again by a man who is going to try to audition for our guest today, Mr. Paul Rule. Paul, how you doing?
I'm good, Matt. I feel like you did that intro last week. Am I that big a slut?
A little bit.
Calling me a auditioning slut?
You're not going to admit it, so I'm going to admit it for you, okay?
It's not working, man. Nobody's hiring me.
Well, I mean, that's what I said. I got to put it out there for you. Okay. We got a good guest today.
I feel like you're going to audition. You want to direct one of these?
I do. Paul, it's great to see your face. It's
too, buddy.
Tuesday.
You look great. You got a collared shirt on today. Like, you got the message.
Well, do you want to tell the guests?
Yesterday was Matt's birthday. Happy birthday to Matt.
Thanks. Nick, do you want to say happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. 37.
37 is what? Oh, how old you are.
Yes. 37. That's in dog years. But, you know, when you got the Pacific Islander, half Filipino thing going, you know. Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mom.
You look great, buddy.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Paul, it's always great to sit across from you. I see you went with the navy blue today.
I did, Matt. My wife dressed me as usual.
Did she style you?
Yeah. She said I'm supposed to go kind of dark colors. My hair's getting a little long. I got a little bit of a Gordon Gekko thing working.
I like it.
Right now.
Cut to the clip, Nick, but I think we should cut to the one where he's on the beach with the cell phone that's the size of a car.
Astonish me, pal. New info. I don't care where or how you get it. Just get it.
Paul, we got to get into something. Can I just jump right in? First off, let's do the house cleaning.
Yeah, house cleaning.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you can watch us on YouTube right now to look at Paul's hair and to look at our shirts and to decide whether I look 37 or not. We're on YouTube. We're also on Apple, Spotify. If you want to listen to the podcast traditionally, you can watch our reels on Instagram, TikTok. Big following there. Remember to follow and subscribe, please. It helps us out. It helps keeps the lights on, literally. It helps pay Nick. And also,
we've had a big bump in subscribers recently.
Yeah, Beat LA Podcast mugs
very exciting
for everybody.
Stuff. Yeah, it's the merch. They all want the merch with a QR code on the back that doesn't work.
Right.
But we're fixing that.
Yes, sir. We got a great guest today. We have a showrunner, producer, writer of The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix, Ted Humphrey.
Big hit on Netflix.
Great fucking show.
Yeah.
Paul, we talked about the San Francisco Giants 2 pods ago. We negged them, and then they went on a winning streak. Last pod, we gave them their flowers, as the kids say.
Yep.
And they sort of nosedived 2-4 last week against the best 2 teams in baseball. Paul, what did we do?
And losers of 5 in a row. What did we do?
Okay,
well, we clearly learned that we just need to stay in neg zone.
Okay.
Because once we get positive, things go poorly.
Sure.
There's a bunch of other stuff. Can I go off on a couple of things?
Hold on. Let's clear out. Cut to the clip of Jordan clearing out at the top of the key with the ball.
Jordan, open. Chicago with the lead.
Where do I fucking start? We're going to jump to pet peeves. Okay, Camilo Duvall. Fucking gas can Camilo Duvall. Do you know that he's pitched 23 1/3 innings this year? He has 17 walks. 17 walks. What's the job of a reliever, a closer, to come in, you're up by a run, or don't walk a guy. That's like your one fucking job, right? Guy throws 102, he's walking guys, he's nibbling.
I wouldn't dig in there if I was you. Next one might be at your head. I don't know where it's going to go.
My other pet peeve, Bob fucking Melvin. Bob Melvin this weekend did it twice. Jordan Hicks kept him in for 101 pitches. Jordan Hicks is basically at his innings limit. Of course, he gave up 2 homers to Judge, including his last inning. So maybe think about long-term, Melvin. And then Snell, the Snell start, where Snell had 100 pitches in 4 2/3 inning and blew out his groin.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't make the guy pitch 25 innings. It was high stress. Maybe take him out at some point. Right. Melvin's trying to eke out as many innings out of these guys as he can. It drives me crazy. Anyway, he's driving me. He's trying to be the anti-Kapler in every way possible.
Listen, I hear what you're saying. You're hot. I mean, 2-4 against those teams, that's fine. But, you know, I think the big thing is we lost our heart and soul when late night Lamont went down.
We did. But this Snell thing's really bad. Like, this is what happens when Farhan goes bargain basement shopping at the end of spring training and thinks he's getting a bargain on this guy. He had no spring training. He's going to be hurt the entire season. And they have no one to replace him. I also think Dave Greshner should get fired. I'm going to go off on the trainer.
Got it. Don't do it.
They had 6 guys who were in AAA playing on the team
Yeah.
on Saturday against the Yankees.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I went so nag because they've lost 5 in a row.
Clip it. Yeah, the mojo's been gone. I still believe in this team. I'll tell you this. I believe in Blake Snell next season. Next season, he's going to be great.
He will be great probably on another team.
He's just
because he'll still get $30 million from somebody.
You think? I don't know. I think it's looking real good that he's going to take that option next year.
Elio Ramos?
Yeah.
He's my new favorite player, everyone's new favorite player. A guy that Farhan didn't even want because Farhan didn't draft him.
Here's the other thing. Keep Luis Ramos in.
Luis Ramos?
Excuse me. Correct me. Luis Matos.
I would love a guy named Luis Ramos. Can we splice him? And
Yeah,
make
we
him?
can. We can create him in a MLB
lab?
2K.
Kinda like weird science.
Tell you why. I mean, if there's one thing I know, it's female stats. I mean, anything bigger than a handful, you're risking a sprained toe.
Listen, Luis Matos, keep him in center. He clearly knows how to patrol center. Keep platooning him to right and left.
He's hit like 150 since he was player of the week. In the
Yeah,
NFL.
I hear that. I still believe in this team just because of the way the wild card's going. There's going to be some deadline moves. I don't know what the Giants are going to do. But, Paul, I'm just going to say you're right. This team is bipolar, and that's nothing against being bipolar. But if you are bipolar, get on the Lexapro. Or I don't know, whatever the fuck you got to take, the Giants. But there's no consistency. Like self-help corner.
They've had too many injuries, and they're too much of a Farhan team with guys that can't pitch deep into games. And anyway.
Paul, can I clear out for self-help corner?
Sure, Matt, your birthday. Happy birthday to you.
All you're looking for in a relationship is what?
Reach around?
Consistency.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Consistency, motherfucker.
Oh, I don't know.
Too.
Seemed like
Yep.
a trick question.
The reach around. Do we cut to the hangover clip?
Stu, you love it. It was so sexy, the way he moved around.
Consistency, man.
Okay.
We just want to know they're going to show up and give the best. You know, that's what
Did
you
you
want.
hear this weekend? They didn't even sell at any of the games against the Yankees. All these great bobbleheads. They had a Lamont Wade bobblehead that sprayed water for the 100th. And it was all Yankees fans, just
That's
like it's
great.
all Dodger fans.
That's fine. I'm okay. I mean, the way the Giants have been playing the last few years, I'm okay with. But hey, they got over 40,000. The park looked great. The Yankee announcers were even saying, "Wow, this is beautiful." You know, we got that going for us.
Right.
So, just to button that final point.
Okay.
You're looking for consistency and trust, and I don't trust this team right now.
You're looking at the camera like you're looking at somebody.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I'm not even alluding to anything. I'm not alluding to anything.
I feel like
All
we
right.
have that in our relationship.
Yeah,
now.
no. I'm just talking about you.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
So I just want to say, Bryce Harper, what a fucking bitch. But I probably would have reacted the same way. All right, our boy Kyle Harrison threw high and tight twice, and
That
he
was
throws
great.
a fucking
But that
tantrum.
was a 2024 brawl. It was like a fucking tea
Yeah,
party.
It was a tea party.
Go
It was
back
like-
and look at the Hunter Strickland thing. That knucklehead.
Whoa! History. And Bryce Harper wants a piece of Hunter Strickland. Here they go.
It was like that night at Jones 4 years ago when that guy bumped into me and I got in his face, but I knew you were going to hold me back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to fight,
Yeah.
Nick. I didn't. But that's what that was.
It was still fun. I mostly liked when he took it out on the bat rack. You see him just whacking the bat rack with his. I
Yeah.
don't know how he didn't hit anyone in the head with his bat. But I love anger. I love fights. I love all this stuff. Modern baseball, I'm starting to have some issues with, which I think is a segue to our friend Angel Hernandez.
Oh, can I just for the clip triple button this?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I want to just triple button the Giants. I don't know which one it is. It's either the Dennis Green clip,
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
or is it the Mike Singletary clip? Okay.
Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it. I want winners.
Yeah, I mean, are the Giants, they are what we thought they were? Or we want winners. I want winners, Paul.
I think they are what we thought they were, and they're injured.
Segue into our favorite umpire. Mr. Angel Hernandez retired after just 30 illustrious years of blowing calls. The umpire we love to hate. I mean, more missed calls. I mean, his strike zone, Eric Gregg style strike zone, for those of you who remember Eric Gregg in the playoffs with the Marlins and Livan Hernandez.
Strike three, his 11th. Said he wasn't sure.
Paul, happy day? How did you feel?
Okay, so first of all, he actually is not as bad as we think he is. I read an article, Auditor, which says the baseball umpire auditor since 2014, he's ranked as the 60th to 70th best umpire out of 85 to 90. So that means there are actually at least 15 to 20 guys who are worse.
He was the worst.
He was
had
good
some
for.
of the
Okay, this is my take. He was
biggest
good.
blown
He was
calls.
good for baseball. We don't know any of the names of any of the umpires. There's no bad publicity. It's good for baseball. We're talking about this guy. Next thing up is the robo-umps. All humanity is going to go out of baseball. I
agree.
will miss Angel Hernandez. I miss fights.
Yep.
I miss managers kicking up dirt.
Yep.
Spitting in people's faces. I miss all this shit. I miss brushback pitches.
Of course,
I
I'm
miss
with you.
players wearing thongs. They're probably not wearing thongs. Good luck thongs anymore.
Yeah, hold on. Cue the clip of Ebby Nuclealush in Bull Durham having the dream sequence in the fucking garter.
You were dreaming.
I'm with you, Paul.
I miss David Wells being hung over and pitching a perfect game.
Paul, you're so right about the fact that now that Angel Hernandez, the only two umpires I know now are the
Lance Diaz, who's also sucks.
The next worst umpires,
Yeah,
Lance
exactly.
Diaz and CB Buckner.
Yeah.
And so there you go. That's the
Who
personality.
are you going to take in your umpire pool this week, Matt?
You know what? I'm actually starting to like CB Buckner, so I'm going to take Laz Diaz. That is our Angel Hernandez segment, brought to you by
I'm working up a sweat. I'm putting my hat on, Matt.
Angel Soft Toilet Paper. Let's just jump to the Niners real quick here. San Francisco 49ers mandatory mini camps have started. Brandon Aiyuk has not reported to camp as everybody expected. He's going to be fined $104,000 a day for the next 3 days, which means nothing because that'll be wiped when he signs his inevitable new deal, whatever that is. Justin Jefferson, they just backed the Brinks truck up to him, and he's completely
Fried
reset the
LSU.
market. But I think the Justin Jefferson thing is an outlier unicorn thing.
Now the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, taking over the spot previously held by Nick Bosa.
Correct. That's
Reggie
correct.
Watkins' favorite player, Nick Bosa.
That's right.
Yeah.
Today, as we record this pod, before we walked into this room, Christian McCaffrey signed a 2-year, $38 million extension, $24 million guaranteed, and we signed tight end last year with the Washington Redskins, Logan Thomas, to a free agent deal.
I think that's a great sign.
I love that guy. He is going to be great. Remember, the 49ers had Jordan Reed a couple of years ago. He was a Washington Redskin
Logan Thomas
tight end.
40-some-odd catches last year for the Commodores. Is that their name? And he also was a 4th-round draft pick by the Cardinals as a quarterback. Kyle's going to have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like you said, he was with the Commodores. Nick cued Lionel Richie singing a Commodores song.
Why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning.
Easy like Sunday morning,
Easy
man.
like Sunday morning.
That's what you want on a football Sunday.
As a guy who plays fantasy football, Logan Thomas is one of those guys that gets added and dropped a lot because he's got a lot of big games in him, and I think he's going to be tasty for us. Any thoughts on the Aiyuk thing or anything?
Well, okay, so does signing McCaffrey to all that money, does
Worth
that
it.
impact their – I agree, all the running backs, I mean, he may not be there for
it's
4
a
years,
steal.
but a lot of it's guaranteed. But so I guess he's getting his payday. But will that impact their ability to sign Aiyuk?
It might. I mean, they just got a ton of money back by that Eric Armstead money freed up. Listen, CMC's more valuable to our team than Aiyuk.
Sure.
If you go off like even the Amon-Ra St. Brown deal, and if you're looking at that was $34 million guaranteed.
You just like saying Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can't even do it.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Delicious.
He got $34 million, and I think that contract's about where Aiyuk should be. CMC's got 24 guaranteed. He's much more important than Aiyuk. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they might franchise tag him.
Well, Jefferson got 35 a year. He's not going to get.
But that's not even.
Amon St. Brown got 34.
He got 34 guaranteed.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah, Jefferson's 110 million guaranteed.
But I mean, I could see where Aiyuk's like two of the wide receivers in the top 5, DJ Moore, and there's another guy I'm spacing on here, but the wide receiver market's out of control right now, and I have no idea what I'm at a loss for what they do with Aiyuk. What's great is he wants to come back. Him and John Lynch's people, they're talking. You know, I still want to buy a number 11 Aiyuk jersey next year. Finally, before we cut to our spectacular interview, NBA Finals starts in 2 days. Dallas Mavericks, Boston Celtics.
It'll start when we're dropping the pod, probably.
Yeah, Diego Torres Palmas.
Yeah, Diego.
Boston Celtics.
Fucking beat LA.
Yeah, I got a prediction here. I'm rooting for the Dallas Mavericks. I love Luka and Kyrie, which is crazy. Flat Earther Kyrie.
When I started actually doing research on my own and figuring out that there is no real picture of Earth. Like there's not one picture of her.
He's more than that, too. He's kind of anti-Semitic and some other things I don't like.
No, he's completely reinvented himself to where a lot of people that were off his wagon are now back on. I'm really appreciating the way he plays. I'm appreciating the way that he has carried himself and carried this team.
Apparently, he's a real leader on the team. I watched the clinching game against the T-Wolves, who, by the way, how pissed off were they at Draymond? They're like, we're going to boycott any interview because Draymond went off on Gobert. And
sure, and Karl Anthony
But then, of
Towns.
course, they lost right away, so they didn't have to do any post-game interviews. So good work, Draymond. So Reggie Miller was saying, he was comparing them to Steph and Clay, Luka and Kyrie, saying essentially that these two guys, that no two guards have ever been able to create their own shot the way these two guys can. And does that make them better as a backcourt tandem than Steph and Clay? What say you, Matt?
I think it's a conversation you can have. I don't think it's completely ridiculous. Everybody's a slave to the moment. Right now,
They haven't won anything yet.
I'm telling you, though, right now, slave to the moment. Kyrie and Luka are looking great. You take them individually, they're great one-on-one players. And right now you put them together, I get the hot take. It does make sense. But yeah, the Warriors,
boring.
The Warriors have 4 championships, and until they win a title, then they can be in that conversation. But as someone who's been watching them play, they're playing great basketball together. And the misnomer on Luka is that he's this ISO player. All he does is get triple doubles and assists.
That's true.
I will say I'm rooting for the Dallas Mavericks. I never thought I'd root for a Dallas team. I think they're going to win this in 7 games. Also, I love our friends over at The Ringer, all the Boston fans, Diego, who think it's their birthright to win championships in Boston.
You know more about basketball than I do, but I'm going with your prediction. I think Dallas seems like a team of destiny. I like Jason Kidd, former Cal guy.
Yeah.
And Boston, I think, is turning into the Buffalo Bills of the NBA.
That is our NBA Giants, Warriors, 49ers part of the podcast. And we're going to be right back with Lincoln Lawyers' Ted Humphrey. All right, BLA heads, we are back. We have a very special guest today. We always say that, but we really mean it this time.
I'm so flattered.
He was a writer, producer of many of your favorite TV shows, from The Good Wife to on CBS to Shark, with James Woods, and The Unit, a little underrated Mount Rushmore show.
Dr. Vegas with Rob Lowe.
Yeah. Currently,
we can talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Currently, he is the executive producer, writer on one of my favorite TV shows on Netflix, The Lincoln Lawyer, which just wrapped on a new season, season 3. But to us, he's just, a Cleveland sports fan? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ted Humphrey.
How you doing, everybody?
Welcome, Ted. Ted and I are old friends, so you know, and I've been waiting most of my adult life to ruin his career. So let's see how today goes. Good luck, Ted.
Well, before we get into Lincoln Lawyer, welcome, Ted.
Thank you.
Let's clear up the fandom first. I think that's always a good thing to start.
Always.
Okay. Cleveland, is it the Indians? Is it the Cavaliers? What's your team?
It's the Guardians now.
Excuse me. Or do we do that? Or are we going to go with Guardians?
Sure, we're going to go with Guardians.
Yeah. If you ask me to pick my first love, yes, it's the baseball team. Gotcha. I actually refer to them as the Cleveland baseball team now.
The Cleveland baseball team.
It's like the Washington football team.
There you go.
I've been a fan of that team my whole life, and I've been a Browns fan my whole life. I currently hate the Browns.
Okay.
Because I hate Deshaun Watson. I'll just be open about that.
That seems fair.
I really enjoyed rooting for Joe Flacco last season,
yep.
right up until the bitter end. It's astonishing the ownership that the Browns have had in my entire lifetime. They started with Art Modell, who was a bona fide idiot.
Yeah.
And then they went to, then they disappeared for a few years, and then they went to Al Lerner and his son Randy.
Yeah.
And I thought it could not get any worse.
Right.
And then Jimmy Haslam.
Jimmy Haslam, baby.
And literally a man who drafted Johnny Manziel because a homeless guy told him to.
Right.
Well, doesn't he own like truck stops or something like that?
Yeah, he owns Pilot Flying J truck stops, which were, I believe,
I know
indicted.
my owner, how they made their money.
Yeah.
Indicted by the federal government under some sort of consent decree with the FBI or something.
Did you go to some games at that old Cleveland stadium?
Many times.
Yeah.
Sure.
Steak on the lake. Where were you when the lake caught on fire? Or 10-cent beer night?
I think what you're so today is it's funny that you bring that up because today is the 50th anniversary of 10-cent beer night.
Right.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey.
In Chicago,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Between games, as planned, a huge box containing thousands of disco records was blown up.
I believe some of the people at 10-cent beer night are still recovering from, still hungover from
Thank God I wasn't there.
Yes.
I wouldn't have survived.
Some pretty renowned sports journalist whose name escapes me at the moment, I can't remember which one, said that he was at 10-cent beer night.
Okay.
And he said, I had a bleacher ticket and $2 in my pocket. You do the math.
I love that we have a Browns fan on. So, not to bring up like some PTSD stuff, but was it 86?
Yes.
Bernie Kosar, the John Elway game?
Yes.
Do you remember watching this live and just, you thought we're going to the Super Bowl?
I remember watching that, and what was even more devastating to me actually was the following year, the fumble game.
Draw to Biner. Ernest Biner. Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh, my.
So you were talking about games at Cleveland Stadium. The previous week to that game, I was at the game, the playoff game against the Colts, the Eric Dickerson Colts. I went with my dad, and at Cleveland Stadium, and it was bitter. It was like 5 degrees out, bitter cold.
Right.
And I remember as we were walking into the game, it's like all these people filing into the stadium. And some lady is standing out there in the cold, and she had a petition to save a historic theater of some kind in downtown Cleveland that was in danger of being torn down. And some guy with like a mustache, she's like, "Here, sign this petition," and he grabs it from her and he just tears it in half. And he goes, "I'm going to the fucking Browns game, lady. What do you think? I got culture?"
Oh my God! Yeah.
And he like tossed it back at her. We won that game handily, but then the following game was dismal. Yeah, the following.
And then the Indians, the same thing for you with the Indians. It's
I have
been a rough go.
Through 2 extra inning Game 7 World Series losses.
I watched the Joe Table game with you.
Yes, that's right.
At Jeff Schaefer's house.
Was that the Cubs, the Cup World Series?
No, that was in. It was '97. It was the
Marlins.
Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
Edgar
Jose
Renteria
Mesa, Joe
team.
Table.
I think that might be still the most distraught I've ever been after a sporting event. I remember walking out onto Schaefer's patio and screaming, and then just sitting
Kinda
there.
how
like
we
a
felt in
deck chair
2002.
out there. Yeah.
Was that the Joe Carter? Was Joe Carter on the Indians then?
No, that was long after Carter. Carter was on the team in '86 that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right.
Predicted to win the World Series
With Corey Snyder.
and they lost 100 games.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That's right. That's right.
Terrible.
That's right.
Are you a Cavs fan at all?
I am.
Because that's the
fan.
closest thing, or a Bay Area, Cleveland rivalry when we had
the Warriors, with
the
our
Warriors,
Warriors.
LeBron years.
Those Warriors teams were by and large so much better than the Cavaliers teams. I mean, those Cavaliers teams, talk about ownership. So Gilbert is not a bad owner in the sense that he will spend money.
Sure.
He will also write scathing emails in Comic Sans.
Yeah.
He's a very passionate douchebag. But
Aren't they all?
Let's just quickly dial back. The movie Major League.
Yes.
People still don't recognize us, but
We're contenders now.
the American Express card.
Don't steal home without it.
Badge of honor for the people of Cleveland. Are you a fan of that film? How did it feel watching
I'm a fan of the film. I always liked the film. It irked me at the time. It was not filmed in Cleveland. It was filmed in Milwaukee.
Right.
I knew that.
And then Bob Euchre was...
When
Right.
Euchre wouldn't move wouldn't drive to Cleveland?
Something, I don't know what it was. I mean, I think they did like some second unit stuff in Cleveland. Or
Okay.
like they filmed
He
a
was
couple
probably
of
busy with
exteriors.
Mr.
But the
Belvedere at the time.
actual stadium was Milwaukee.
We're going to do a little This Is Your Life moment because I got some information here.
I'm not going to like this.
No, it's okay. Actually, it's not even about you. So your dad
Yes.
was a USFL ref?
Oh, he was, yes.
The USFL, where football is still a game.
I mean, I remember when the USFL came out, I was all for it. Chicago Blitz, Donald Trump owned the New Jersey Generals.
Yeah, so my dad was a college football referee forever.
Okay.
My entire childhood, he refereed in the Mid-American Conference.
This explains your stellar athletic career, Ted.
Yes, it does. He refereed college football for 25 years or something.
Okay.
And refereed some bowl games. And so my dentist growing up was a back judge in the NFL.
Okay.
And
Isn't that crazy? These guys, they all have like day jobs.
Your dad
they
didn't
do.
get the call?
in the
Yeah,
NFL. They
yeah.
do because it's basically a hobby, right?
Sure.
By the way, he's a terrible dentist. He was like,
Oh,
my
got
teeth
it.
are all messed up to this day
Wow.
because he was like, but he was like my dad's friend and whatever. And then like a guy who was an insurance agent was like a side judge in the NFL. So my dad had NFL referee friends, but he never wanted to referee in the NFL. My dad was a referee, not a back judge. He was like the crew chief.
Yeah.
He never wanted to referee in the NFL because it was a business. And he really enjoyed college football because he felt, I mean, this was before the days of athletes making money on their likenesses or whatever, right? He felt that it was, pure, that it was like for fun. Basically, he was 55, and it was mandatory. They had a mandatory retirement age in the U.S. or in the Mid-American Conference, where you had to, at 55, they wanted you to retire. and he wanted to keep
I think
doing
Hollywood has that same.
Yeah, they do, yeah. They just don't publicize it.
Yeah.
Right around that time, the USFL was starting, and they desperately needed experienced officials, so they were willing to take guys who were, 55 or whatever. And my dad was like, fuck it, I'll do this.
You're here in LA.
Yes.
You haven't been sucked into the Lakers-Dodgers vortex, or what?
I'm going to confess something, which is I am a little bit of a Dodgers fan.
Okay.
First of all, I've always hated the Lakers. And the Lakers are...
Thank you.
The Lakers, along with the Steelers and the Yankees, are among my least favorite teams that I will always root against. Right?
Okay.
I hate the colors. I hated Jack Nicholson and Diane Cannon sitting on the sideline. I hated all of it, right? So when I moved here, I was like, well, I can't be a Lakers fan, and the Clippers are a joke. And when I moved here, I believe it was like literally the year I moved here, professional football left. The Rams went to St. Louis. The Raiders were up back to Oakland.
Yep.
So there was no professional football here, and I'm not going to root for USC or UCLA is okay. I guess I don't mind them, and baseball. The Angels are too far away.
Sure.
You got to pick the San Francisco Giants.
Well, the thing is, as a Cleveland fan, obviously I'm an American League fan, so it's like...
You're still pissed off that the Giants won the World Series in '54, aren't you?
I am. I'm very pissed off.
There you go.
Right.
Ted's got a long memory. So he's been successful in Hollywood. He's on a revenge tour. How old were you when you were watching some movie and you're like, I got to get out there. I got to get better. I'll never, I don't know, like sometimes we're not getting laid in high school. Like what really brought you out here?
Definitely was not that.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Well, yeah.
Only because certainly when I moved here, and I met you shortly after I moved here,
yes.
I didn't find that the odds of that were any greater here
Ted,
than
you were
anywhere
performing
else.
at Shakespeare, the Knightsbridge Theater in Pasadena. That wasn't exactly the greatest rap
It was
in
a
the world.
magnet. It was it was what is
Lucky Bald
what
was
is
after
referred
the
to in the
show.
vernacular as a chick magnet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I remember.
So, no, when did I realize that? Probably when I was about 5, honestly.
Oh, wow.
And I used to watch, like, Godzilla and, Saturday afternoon, like, matinees and shit. And it's just always what I wanted to do. And then I didn't know anybody in Los Angeles. I didn't have any connections to Hollywood at all. I had zero nepotism to take advantage of. I'd never even been to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I went to Georgetown, which was not then and still is not much of a Hollywood feeder school. It's not.
And then you went to law school, which is, I've been on writer panels, and I always say, what should you do if you want to become a writer? I'm like, go to law school. There's a lot of TV shows about cops and lawyers.
Yeah.
You didn't even know you were doing that.
When I was a senior in college, I knew I really wanted to be like a film. I really wanted to be I wanted to be like Scorsese, right? I wanted to be like a director, a writer-director. And again, coming from Georgetown, not having any contacts in Hollywood, it seemed like you might as well want to be an astronaut or something.
Sure.
It's just like, how do you do that? So I went to law school at UVA, then became a lawyer in Washington, D.C., and then after a couple of years of that is when I just finally was like, I've had it. I really, it's now or never, right? I was 26 years old, and I wasn't married, and I didn't have a mortgage or anything, and I still had one last chance to just chuck it all, and so I did.
By the way, Lady Lawyer is a big hit. I read this on Wikipedia, Ted, because this is where I get all my information. By its first 3 days of release, the series finished #2 on Netflix weekly ratings. It is the most watched English language series globally on Netflix. Did you know that?
At that time.
They had over 260 million hours globally in a 1-month period in 2022.
So now you're representing her. Let me guess, pro bono, because you're frosting her cake. You're basting her turkey. She's battering your brisket.
Okay, I don't have time for this.
It's a big hit.
It's done.
You're buying lunch.
It's done very, very well, which is amazing.
Matt's a new groupie. Matt binge-watched it on the way
I
into
watched
this interview.
all 2 seasons over the last 4 days.
Oh, that's great.
And I fucking love the show.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
I mean, it hooked me from the beginning. I called Paul and I said, if you're a fan, this is what my take on it, but I was like, if you like Michael Clayton and Ray Donovan and want a little bit more of a pop sensibility to it, if you're a fan of those shows.
It's the PG-13 version of those shows.
Those shows. And
that's kind of exactly what it is. Yes.
And this Mickey Haller character, he's so relatable. He's one of us. He's got some addiction issues. He's got some morality issues. Yeah. He's got some problems with his women.
Got a couple ex-wives who give him problems. Yes,
I don't know anything about that.
He can't get out of his own way, Paul. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at you, not at Ted.
He has
here.
trouble hiding his Mexican accent.
Yeah.
We all have that.
And now you're looking at me. Okay. And I love the show. I fucking love the show. It's great. So,
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No, there was that Morrissey song, "We Hate It When Our Friends Become Successful." You know that song? Ted knows well. Ted believes it.
We hate when our friends become successful.
So it took me a long time to watch the fucking show. I try to avoid all things Ted, but I enjoy it too, Ted.
Yeah,
I'll admit it. I like the fucking show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well done, my friend. Well done.
Were you surprised? I mean, I know there's some IP with it, but I mean, after all of this, season 3 now, is it still like, wow, huh? Or
I mean,
because
you've been a Good Wife was a big hit, but you've done a lot of shows.
Well,
Ted was there for the Me Tooing of Jeremy Piven.
I was.
We can talk about that.
That
for a
affected me
minute.
greatly. Look, I'm always surprised when anything is successful.
Sure.
I don't ever take it for granted. And, The Good Wife was successful. I didn't create The Good Wife, obviously.
It's all because you, right? David Kelly had nothing to do with this. 100% you who made the show
David
hit,
Kelly's
right?
David Kelly's a lovely man.
Yeah. Princeton guy.
Is he?
He's a
that's
Princeton
right,
guy.
Right. He's a Princeton guy.
He's a
That's
hockey
right.
player at
That's
Princeton.
right. He's a hockey player at Princeton. That's right. He actually is the nicest Princeton guy I know.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
better. Every Harvard guy knows an asshole. So
He's actually so nice that I have trouble reconciling it with the fact that he went to Princeton.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Truthfully, and David would not mind me saying this, he has not had much to do with the show beyond the beginning. He wrote the original first episode.
it had a very circuitous path, right?
It had a very circuitous path. So it was originally set up at CBS.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a deal at CBS Studios, coming off of first The Good Wife, and then I created a show for them called Wisdom of the Crowd, which Paul was alluding to, which got torpedoed by Mr. Piven.
Yes.
And then I was developing some other things for them, and meanwhile, David had sold originally The Lincoln Lawyer. Obviously, it's based on Michael Conley's books. Right. Michael's a mensch, by the way.
Really, I met Michael. I agree with that.
Yeah,
Good
lovely guy.
Good guy, yeah.
Immensely talented guy. Writes a book in the amount of time it takes most of us to glance at our email.
Right,
So it was set up at CBS, and they brought me aboard because David wasn't interested in staying with the show or running it or being. He was really only interested in writing a pilot and then kind of walking away and having somebody take it over. And I was kind of already there, and I was like, oh no, this could be. I love these books, right? This could be successful. But then the more we got into it, I realized it wasn't going to work at CBS because we were doing the show you're watching on Netflix is exactly the show we were going to do at CBS, and that wasn't going to work at CBS. It's too serialized. Yeah. It's a little too dark. And I kept saying that, and nobody wanted to hear it. The people at CBS didn't want to hear it. The studio that was involved and the other producers didn't really want to hear it. They were all just like blah, 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 like this. Because all they had was visions of dollar signs and 22 episode syndication, which doesn't even exist anymore in their heads. And so I say this very cognizant of what an extreme thing in a way this is to say, but COVID was the best thing that ever happened to our show. And what I mean by that is we were all set to shoot a pilot for a CBS show, which was then going to fail. And COVID happened and shut us down. In fact, we were supposed to start shooting on Monday, March 16th, 2020.
You went to Wuhan.
Yes, exactly. We were shooting on location in Wuhan. Yeah.
And you were like, hey, this may be bad for the world, but great for my show.
We were shooting on location at the pangolin farm. No, we were shooting in LA, but on Friday, March 13th, that's when everything shut down. And a month later, as the world was still all kind of figuring out what was going on, CBS canceled the show before we'd ever shot. And this was back when people were saying is TV ever going to exist? Is the world going to end? Are we ever going to shoot anything again? And luckily we were able to very quickly pivot and sell it to Netflix, which I always believed was the right home for it, because Netflix does a really good job with these kind of serialized, especially based on IP, based on book series.
But tonally it's a bit, it's not as dark as a lot of the Netflix shows. I just finished watching Ripley. Netflix allows you to do whatever you want, right? So it feels a little bit like a hybrid of a CBS show and a Netflix show. Maybe that's what they wanted.
It's very much what they wanted. In fact, so when we went to Netflix, I was like, oh, this is great. We're going to Netflix, and now I can make 80-minute long episodes where
topless stuff, Ted. I know you
people are shooting up heroin or whatever, and they were not interested in that at all. No, Netflix very much wants, look, yes, they'll do Ripley, I guess, because Steve Zalian, and it's a limited series. It's not an ongoing series. Right. I have no idea, by the way. I would be interested to see how many people have actually watched Ripley. So they very much want more populist. I've heard terms like procedural, which kind of describes a show like ours. It's not a procedural, but it's kind of adjacent to something like a procedural. Right. It's serialized. It's more character driven. It's more complex and a little smarter than that. But it's something that is akin to something you might see on network TV, but it's not quite.
Correct.
that.
I'm a huge fan of the show, and I think what's great about it is like you really obviously lucked out with the cast. I mean, you're rooting for all four leads in that thing, and this Mickey Holler character. I think it's tough with shows sometimes when your main character kind of achieves success, and then you're like, well, what now? He's just so grounded, and it's just amazing what you guys have done with both seasons.
Matt has some questions about the directing, though, and he wondered if maybe you need a guy to come in and do some directing in season 4.
Are you trying to get me to clear out here? Yeah.
I'm trying to get you a job, man.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No.
Ted hasn't hired us to act in it yet.
Hey, I'll shadow. I just did the Warner Brothers directing program.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, so there it is. There it is. I dropped that.
He cast Joanne Barron. We both went to her
Oh my
acting
God, we
school.
did cast Joanne Barron.
He's an alum.
Yeah, we're alums of that.
We
back
did
in the
cast
day.
Joanne Barron, and she was lovely.
She was great.
Yeah, she was great.
She was great on the show.
That's right. Oh my God, that's right. You saw her. I just finished directing the season finale of season 3, which we just shot.
That's amazing, because I saw you directed a couple in season 2, right?
I directed 209. It's
Okay.
tough to do more than one when you're the showrunner and you're
He
doing
thought you
it.
stole a lot of stuff from Heat in your episode.
I did. I'm sure.
I did.
Big Michael Mann fan. Big Michael Mann
Because
fan.
there was the one shot on the balcony and the way the blues, the sort. I was like, this is Heat.
Big Michael Mann fan.
Good work, dude.
Listen, if you're going to
You know
steal,
your ripoffs.
you're going to steal from the best.
Right?
Manuel, who is the star, right? We did really kind of luck into him. So, the character in the books is half Latino. He is a Mexican American, but he's
Explains why McConaughey played him in the movie.
Correct.
Yes.
That was brilliant casting. He is American.
Yeah.
He's a guy who grew up in L.A. and his dad, as we depict on the show, is this like famous criminal defense lawyer, kind of a Robert Shapiro,
Right.
And his mother was supposed to be again, as we depict on the show. Well, we kind of took it fairly broad on the show, but a B Mexican actress, like a telenovela star. Yeah. And it was a late in life marriage for his father. So he grew up in L.A. and doesn't have an accent, doesn't even speak fluent Spanish.
Right.
But he's described as looking more Mexican than American, having kind of dark olive skin, swarthy. It was very important to us and to Netflix that we have a Latino lead for the show. We weren't looking necessarily for somebody. I mean, we were honestly at first looking for what is described in the books, like a Latino American.
Right.
And we just couldn't find. There's not tons of choices there. And the good thing about Netflix is they don't, unlike say CBS, they don't care that you have a big star.
Yeah.
So that broadened things a bit, and we found Manuel, who really not many people in America were familiar with at that time.
Yeah.
Yes, he has a thick accent, which we've explained in the show by kind of altering his backstory a bit.
He's great.
He's great, and you'll be interested to know, and I can say this now because it was in Deadline and has been publicized, he just got the lead, or one of the 2 leads, in the new Jurassic Park movie.
Good for him.
Alongside Scarlett Johansson. So he is right now in Thailand, I believe, shooting that. He literally left the day after we finished shooting to go first to London.
Thailand has him now.
Bangkok has him now, and she'll never let him go.
No, he's got, as the kids would say, Manuel has a lot of riz. I could see where
He
there's
does
a
have
lot of riz.
By the way, it's all, I don't want to say it's all an act. It's not an act. He does have it, but he's actually in real life a fairly shy, unassuming guy. Like, he's not a big personality.
Can we recast? I'm going to do a game here, and this is going to be clippable.
Okay.
Since we're all older here, okay? If we recast the Lincoln Lawyer in the 80s at CBS and we were going off of Q ratings, I think Tony Danza might have gotten the part as the Lincoln Lawyer. Is that right? You think maybe?
It certainly could have been.
It could have been.
I'm now thinking who else is out there.
Who else out there from the 80s?
Henry Winkler, who played an Italian on Happy Days, even though he was
Lee Majors. Yeah.
CBS, forget about the 80s, 2020, whenever that was.
Yeah.
They didn't care if it was Latino. Like they were like, if you can find a Latino lead
Ricardo
that will work
Montalban?
for us, Q rating's great. Otherwise,
Sure.
cast somebody else, right?
Gotcha.
So
Freddie Prinze Jr. He didn't make it that long, though.
Gotcha.
Okay. We could do this all
if
day.
If you watch the, this is a really deep pull, but Paul will get this, because the very first TV show I ever worked on was a show called Now and Again that was created by a guy named Glenn Caron, who
Ted worked in New York. We visited him in New York.
Yes, and Glenn years ago created Moonlighting. That was his first big thing, right?
What, Moonlighting? Nick, cut to the Al Jarreau song real quick.
Yes.
Don't you change someone by night.
But if you watch they released some years ago on DVD the pilot of Moonlighting with Glenn and Bruce Willis doing commentary. This is probably like 10 years ago they did
Okay.
this, 15 years ago or something. And Glenn talks about the casting of Moonlighting and how nobody wanted it. ABC wanted Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was not a big star.
Right.
And talking about Q ratings in the 80s, the people they wanted were very... you would look back and laugh today, like
Ryan O'Neal type of thing.
It was. I'm trying to think of who they were. It was very kind of foppish, I think is the word I would use. You know, like Bruce Willis was much more raw and kind of manly than they were looking for. Let's put it that way.
They wanted Remington Steele.
Yeah, like Pierce Brosnan was perfect. You know,
Sure. A couple more questions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the question around town. I see all these articles in LA Times about like the state of the industry. People aren't working. All I hear is contraction left and right. I mean, what's your
people ask me this question outside LA? They're like, what are things like after the strike?
What's your just sort of general take feeling like after the strikes and how we're kind of moving forward?
I mean, you're in your ivory tower with Big Hit Showtime. We know this doesn't impact you. But there are other people out there that are listening.
Give us some hope. Give us some inspiration here.
I'm
moving forward here.
An idea that every day I thank my lucky stars for that. Okay. As you can imagine, you know, you'd like to think you have something to do with it, but there's a lot of luck involved with this, right? And I just thankfully, you know,
false modesty, Ted. It does not suit you. Keep going. Answer the question.
I am so fortunate to be in a situation where I don't have to worry about this stuff at the moment. Right. I can always change any day. But you know, look, I think. Yeah, we're in a rough place. Yeah. I kind of think this ship will right itself at some point. Let me put it this way. I don't think scripted entertainment is going away. You do hear dire predictions from people saying, like, the kids today don't want to watch movies and TV. They want to be on TikTok, right? I don't think that. I mean, sure, they want to be on TikTok, but I don't think it's true. And I think you see, even in the movie theaters, when you put something in the movie theaters that people want to see, they'll pay money to go see it. So I think none of it's going away, but I also think that there was a period there for almost a decade where there were like 500 scripted shows. Right. And that was just unsustainable. And you had, you know, places like Netflix were spending a huge shit ton of money to put stuff on the air that nobody was watching just because they were like building up to scale, right? And now those salad days are unfortunately over. Yeah. And they are paying attention to what the ratings are. And if you're not getting good ratings, you're not going to be around for very long. And you hear all these horror stories now. Like a few years ago, you know, people would go out with these packages with big stars and it would just sell and it would be stuff nobody wanted to watch. And now they won't buy, you know, they won't buy it unless it's actually something they think people are going to watch. So I kind of feel like if you take a long enough view, these things are always cyclical and it will come around.
I mean, I keep hearing they're going back to sort of an older development model. They're actually going to buy more scripts and buy fewer packages and actually develop them.
Entirely possible.
Yeah. Cheaper. It's way cheaper to do it that way.
That would not surprise me. Yeah. You know, I will say, not to be, because I just gave you a bunch of optimistic talk, I will say not to be pessimistic, but I often think to myself, I'm happier that I'm closer to the end of my career than I am to the beginning. Because I mean, I think I'm going
to do my pen and I'm going to leave now.
I think
it's kind of morbid, Ted.
No, but I just think it's
I'm happy that I'm closer to the grave.
I don't mean that, but I just mean it is daunting. Like I do look at young, even people that work on our staff, or if you talk to college kids or whatever, people who want to work in this business, you know, like the kids of friends of yours that contact you for help or whatever. I do kind of go like, boy, there's not the pot of gold that there used to be. I mean, there is still a pot of gold.
Also, just the barriers to entry. I mean, I know there's so much content you can do you can make a podcast and put it on YouTube. But it was easier to get in when we got out here.
I think that's probably true.
There just wasn't as many people thinking it was an option. There weren't as many film schools in America. There weren't all this stuff. Everyone thinks it's actually a real career, which it's not. Don't come out here.
Yeah. The internet blew it all up.
Don't come to Hollywood. Don't become a Dodger fan.
I mean, the internet did two things at the same time. It made it, like, people don't remember, well, a lot of the people listening to this probably aren't old enough to remember, right? But at that time...
We have a very young demographic, Ted.
At that time...
Parents put their kids to sleep to our podcast.
There's infants are listening. Yeah. There was no internet. I mean, the internet was in a very nascent state, right?
Sure.
So, like, if you wanted to read a screenplay, you remember this. If you wanted to read a screenplay, you had to know somebody who had an agent who could get you that screenplay, and it would actually be a paper, like, with brads and everything. And now any screenplay you want to read is online. You just find it. You know? Yeah. So the internet democratized everything, but at the same time it increased, you know, now...
Great democratizer and the great
people
destroyer.
in Romania think they can come here and be filmmakers, and some of them can't. So, you know,
Okay, I'm hopeful. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
I'm feeling good.
All right, we're going to end with what we do with all our guests and ourselves, right? Do you want to ask them?
Well, usually we do this thing, the best things we saw at the end of our show. And just being someone in the industry, we ask you if you've seen anything you like or you want to recommend. But Do we want to do something different here?
Well, we'll give you one of those. But Ted's a big music fan. And I need to get more current on my music. You're going to the No Values Fest.
I am going to the No Values, which is not particularly current.
Well, it's not really current. You're going to go see the Misfits and Iggy Pop.
And Social Distortion. Yeah. Mike Dunn from Social Distortion just got over throat cancer or something. So, yes.
Yeah. Perfect. He's also closer to the end of his career, Ted.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
But anything I know you're busy, you just wrapped season 3. Anything you want to recommend to any of our guests, pop culture-wise? Book, TV, movie, maybe, that you've seen that you like?
I'll give you some music. If you have not yet discovered Yard Act or Fontaine's DC.
Yard Act.
Yard Act.
Okay, like a yard
fantastic
sale.
British band. Fontaine's DC, fantastic Irish band. Both of whom I've seen in LA recently. Both of whom I'm gonna see coming up in LA again at some point. I highly recommend those two. In terms of books, I just read a book, you'll really like this. I just read the book, Here Comes Everybody, which is James Fearnley's account of what it was like being in the Pogues. Okay. Really interesting, like behind the scenes shit about the Pogues. Jem Finer and Andrew Rankin come off very well. Kate O'Riordan does not come off well.
Ted's dropping some Pogues knowledge here. Right. R.I.P. Shane
McGowan. TV, movies. I did just watch Baby Reindeer, which I have to say I liked a lot. Yeah. Big fan of The Bear. Which everybody does really like there. Here's a good one. I really enjoyed Late Night with the Devil. I don't know if you saw that. Indie horror movie made by these two Australian brothers starring a guy named David Dastmalchian, who you would know maybe from Batman and some other things. You know, he's not usually a guy who's a lead. Really clever movie. It takes place in 1977. And the conceit of it is that this guy is a talk show host who's like a rival to Johnny Carson, but not as big, and desperately wants to like be as big as Johnny Carson. In an attempt to goose his ratings, he has this exorcist on his show one night live, and complications ensue.
Late Night with the Devil. That's what we got. That's what we got here.
Sounds great. I was going to ask Matt a question. Matt, when you come
I feel bad that we haven't talked enough about San Francisco sports.
That's okay. When you come to a poker game, what do you bring? Do you often bring like maybe a half bottle of wine that you drank the night before, so you can drink it yourself,
which you don't share with anyone?
And not offer it to your friends? Is that your move?
No, I usually like bring enough for everybody. Why do you ask?
I don't know.
Why do you ask?
Ted also is going to be giving
this is a little Joanne Barron thing. We're
Ted's
just in our
going to
own
be giving
scene.
an etiquette class during the off season about what to bring to poker games.
Did
I
I
played poker.
not bring a bottle of Tokai whiskey to one of the poker games?
One of them. We've been playing poker for 25 years.
I believe I brought a bottle of Tokai whiskey for everyone to indulge in.
Yeah, I love it. And we always got to end on a zinger. Ted,
I didn't use Ted's nickname here.
You want to end?
Ganesh. You can look it up.
All right. Ted,
I'll leave it right there.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Cool. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, Paul. Ted, he dropped a lot of knowledge. You know what I loved about Ted? What I loved about Ted, and Nick's going to understand this as well. Whenever you're in a room with Paul, even though he doesn't say it, he carries this aura that I'm the smartest guy in the room. And when Ted walked in, not only was he the smartest guy in the room, but Paul knew it too.
That's absolutely not true. I will never admit to that, nor will Nick. Nick sees me every week. Ted just speaks more thoughtfully than I do. He actually has a filter, so it makes it seem like he's actually thinking deeply about stuff. He's just mostly trying not to fuck up his career. I believe that we did not mess up his career enough. That's my only concern with that interview. I have a lot more dirt on him, man. I was so nice.
You could spill it now. Do you want to spill some tea? As the kids would say?
I don't think you can do that when the guy's not here to defend himself.
That's a very, very, that's a maxim that men should live by.
Yeah.
Speaking of maxims, quickly, today's podcast, as always, is brought to you by PetProSupplyCo.com. If you need anything for your pets, go to PetProSupplyCo.com. Dog cages, cat trees, something for your possum or squirrels or any other critters in your backyard that just show up and you're like, hey, I want to house these critters. Maybe a little bit, bring them to life, go to PetProSupplyCo.com and use code BEATLA for 10% off.
God, you've gotten good at that, man.
I really have. Any pet peeves? I know you talked about the Giants, but do you have anything arbitrary or pet pleasures that you just want to get off your chest?
I feel like I just already did it, Matt, with the Giants, and I'm still recovering. That was a lot of energy I expended there.
So nothing. You don't want to throw a dish under the bus or some music, something the kids are doing on TikTok, your car, your house. You want to throw some Italian marble under the table?
Oh,
you know.
It's a great question. I'm going to let you jump in to see if you have a pet peeve, and then I'll play off of your pet peeve. But no, I feel like I did it with the Giants. I often front load my pet peeves, man.
You do. You're a front loader.
Yeah.
I really don't have anything this week, folks. I don't have a pet
You're
peeve.
so calm after your birthday yesterday. What happened at your birthday, Matt, that made you so calm?
Well, they're not sponsoring us yet, so I don't really want to put that out there. Okay.
I'm looking right at the camera, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay. My pet peeves, I have some personal pet peeves, but I don't want to, I don't think
You
the
don't want to
audience
sully
needs,
the podcast with your personal shit.
No, exactly.
All right. Well, guess what, folks? We're going to jump into the best things we saw. And, everyone else can come back in. Your wife can come back into the room. Have you watched anything this week, or did you see anything in general that you'd like to recommend to our folks, whether you loved it or hated it?
Okay, you always get mad at me because I do the best things I saw, often finally watching a show that you told our audience to watch. But hey, if they haven't watched it yet, because you watch like 7 things a week, nobody can watch that much television. I have no idea how you do that. But so I finally just watched season 5 of Fargo. John Hamm, Juno Temple. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. And I've seen some of the other seasons. It's a return to form. John Hamm plays a great, demented sort of militia, like sheriff. Juno Temple has range you never would have expected in Ted Lasso. Yeah. It actually really got to me. It actually had an emotional element I was surprised about. There's a whole storyline about this character who's kind of this killer from a different time, which you think would make you fall out of the thing completely, and it doesn't. It made the whole thing work. Anyway, I highly recommend, and my wife Kristen says the best show she's seen in a long time. So
I agree.
She in fact said to me, she goes, wow, I like this anthology thing that they're doing. When you're not around, I'm going to watch the other seasons. So it sounds like she wants me to leave the house more.
That's it. That's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah. And what made it great also is the filmmaking in general too. Like the way they actually film that show is incredible. Kudos, Paul.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
See, I listen to you. It's the only relationship where I actually listen to my partner.
Best things. I have 4 things, and I'll fire right through it. It wasn't 7, but it's been 2 weeks. For all of those of you who miss Workaholics and potty humor.
Wow, Workaholics, sure.
Sort of that Sunny in Philadelphia vibe. Tires on Netflix with Shane Gillis. It's 7 episodes.
I need to watch it. I was just reading something about it. Yeah.
I mean, Shane Gillis is one of my favorite comedians right now, but he kind of created and produced this show. It's 23-minute episodes. I finished it in one sitting. It's so fucking funny. It's so dirty. It's the humor that we put on our text chains that we don't want people to see those text chains.
I'm burping, Matt. Hold on.
Yeah, get it out.
It says Bora stuff that Diego pushes on us. Good, but very burpy. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
See what he does every time. Keep this in, Nick. Don't cut this. Every time. I'm on a hot take. I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll, and then you interrupt or you check out on me.
I was just thinking. That
was a clippable thing, and you fucking ruined it.
Apparently, Shane Gillis loves his beer. I like that. Keep going.
I can't. I lost my train. It's all ruined. It's all fucking ruined because of you. God damn it. Watch Tires. It's great. Here's another show. This is for everybody out there. What you want a true detective to be. That show's called Under the Bridge on FX.
I have known nothing about this. I've seen things for it. What is it?
I finally clicked on it. It's based off a true story about a teenage girl that was killed in Vancouver in the late 90s.
Okay.
It stars Riley Keough from Daisy Jones and the Six and Lily Gladstone from the Martin Scorsese film that came out about the Indians.
Flower Moon.
It's fucking...
The Guardians? About the Guardians?
It's fucking fabulous.
Yeah.
Under the Bridge, noir crime drama. It's based on a true story. Really, really well done. Really well done. Watch Under the Bridge. After the pilot, you won't walk away. Hacks, just got to say Hacks again. If you're not watching, it's been one of the most consistent shows on television. And finally, the last one, I finally clicked on. It's from a show from last year. I'm pulling a Paul here. I watched the show Bottoms. It's this sort of Gen Z.
It's a movie, isn't it?
It's a movie about these girls in high school.
The gal from the Bears in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well done. I fucking laughed my ass off.
It's basically super bad with like lesbians in high school.
Changed your name to McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What, are you trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
True, but the tropes and the way they
See what I did as a network exec speak. I did this meets that.
You did. The way it's done, though, is pretty fucking hilarious. Us being in our later years, because us being in those years where our best days are behind us and sort of the twilight's in front of us.
Jesus. You and Humphrey, what is wrong with you guys?
I enjoyed it very much. So those are the 4 wrecks. Fargo, tires, under the bridge. Check them out. Paul, as we wrap up, do you have any shout outs for anybody?
A couple of things. So we're going to give a Beat LA mug to anybody who can guess why Ted Humphrey's nickname is Ganesh. So email us at beatla at gmail or whatever.
BeatLA podcast at gmail, or just respond.
I'm going to get shout out to my old friend Ted Humphrey for being our guest. I'm going to give a shout out to Cleveland, actually, where I have been. And if you can find yourself in Cleveland in the summertime, you'll have a great time. I had this epic day there where I went to a Progressive Fields, an amazing stadium. I went to a Indians game, Guardians. I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then I went to see the Warriors beat the Cavaliers in the 2017 NBA Finals.
Yeah.
It was a great day. So go see America, people.
Shout out to Cleveland. There you go, folks. Our next pod is going to be in about a week and a half, 10 days, and we're going to be recording that live.
Our first remote.
From Chicago. That's right, folks. Beat LA is going on the road to Chicago. Paul and I are going to be out there for the Giants versus the Cubs at Wrigley.
By the way, this should be like a dead show. We expect the groupies showing up.
Groupies.
We're going to do a live remote from the Sloan Suite at the Zachary Hotel.
We got guests popping in. We got Elaine Uwe, who's shooting Power Book 4 out there. He's going to pop in, talk a little basketball. We got your knucklehead fucking weirdo friends. They're going to pop in.
They're going to be all old styled up, baby. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, what's going to happen in Chicago? Are we going to hit that club I wanted to hit?
I don't know which club that is, but sure, Matt.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your support. And until next time,
Beat LA.